It's our local guest segments right here on 94.7 Blair Radio and BlairRadio.com. Brought to us by Turnkey Nerds, 402-426-NERD. Senator Ben Hansen's joining us today, and as he's waded out of all the bills that they have to read through, right? How many have you had to deal with directly yourself?
Like in HHS?
Yeah.
I think we had, close to 90 some bills sent to us.
And you actually have to understand every single one of them.
Yeah. And that's, to truly represent your constituents, right, and the people of Nebraska, you should put the time and effort in trying to understand all these bills. And then all the ones who come on the floor from all these other different committees. Like we get a broadband bill. I have to kind of start to understand how broadband works. Yeah. You know, how unions work, how all these different kinds of transportation things and urban affairs and and tax policy and insurance policy. You have to, I think truly to represent the people and do your job well, you try to understand and study these things so you know what you're voting on.
So not only are you spending your 90 days in session, but you're spending nights and weekends and everything reading.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I go to work when I get done with work or at nights when I come back from Lincoln, because I drive back and forth from Lincoln every night too. Yeah. I spend more time at the office and trying to read through stuff and put things together, and then trying to, keep fellow senators and together and trying to figure out my committee and lining all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely multifaceted. There's a lot of stuff going on. So
when you're on the road for an hour or so like that, I would say, could you get it transcribed? But that might help you sleep on the way. So
this is the time when I actually could turn my brain off for like 2 seconds to just turn the radio off and just sit here and just driving is simple and easy, and so I try not to think of too much.
Okay, so but you have had to deal with HHS 90 or so bills, and you've had to understand that, and then you have other bills. You're a part of any other committee right now?
Yeah, and so I have HHS committee, which goes Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then on Mondays Business and Labor, and then Business and Labor Committee, and then Tuesdays is Agricultural Committee.
So
those are mine.
Yeah. So you're in those three committees, and you're the chair of the HHS. And
yes. I was the chair of Business and Labor last 2 years.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you've kind of adjusted over, and so. That means that if you have 90 there and like 20 or, so you're looking at strong 150 or so potentially.
Yeah, I'd say close to about 150. I would say, maybe 160
so
bills probably.
You have to be have pretty good grasp on. So then you have that, and then also you are being available and open to answer questions to your constituents too.
Yeah.
How does that work?
A lot of it's through emails, or I just had a meeting with my constituent on Friday. They come to Lincoln, and then you got lobbyists that come to Lincoln trying to, plead their case for certain bills in their industry. And so I have probably during debate, I might have 2 or 3 meetings in the morning, and then we have hearings at night. And so, during debate. And so it's a pretty full, I don't have a chance to sit down really very much at all between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
And so during this point, this past few years, we have seen a lot of separation of ideas.
Yeah.
Are you finding that people are starting to kind of loosen up and be able to have a conversation, or is that a difficult thing yet?
Yeah. Turn on any news station, right?
Media
this is what it's like.
Different animal.
Yeah, it's what it's like, right? You go on CNN or you go on Fox News or MSNBC. I get rid of all those channels in my house, but you go on those things and it's like people are angry and that's what's starting to seep into Nebraska, right?
Right. So I want to see, what is that reality, or is that just what the media is trying to portray?
Well, right now it sure feels like this is a different year for
Is it?
And we got certain senators that are getting on the microphone who are upset about certain bills, taking up long blocks of time just talking about sometimes nothing. Right? They're just. It's typically on one side of the aisle. They may not have the numbers to kind of get some of the bills they want through, or the big ones. And so instead, they're going to try to waste as much time as they can and just talk about frivolous stuff.
Right.
And so that's what we're seeing right now. And so that kind of builds angst, I think, among the other senators. We're wasting time. We can actually do some great things for the people of Nebraska, like cutting taxes and property tax relief and healthcare discussions. And broadband discussions, but we can't because a lot of senators are taking up time. So it's kind of coming to a head. It's the tea kettle starting to steam.
So then what do you foresee happening once we get to that point?
It depends. It depends on what happens. Right now, things we just got that constitutional carry bill through. It got past the first round of debate.
I'm sure there had a lot of conversation there.
Yeah, but that alleviated a lot of the pent up. We accomplished something, right?
Okay.
And so then another bill next week, I think right away on Monday, we're going to be talking about school choice. The big school choice bill is going to be up.
Yeah.
Senator Linehan's bill. And so we'll see where that goes. Now, if that gets shot down, that's going to create more angst. But if it kind of goes through, that might kind of alleviate things again. So it all depends, like what happens and how the votes go. Yeah.
And so, but can people contact these other senators they're not their constituents and say, what's going on? Tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Try to logically
Definitely
speak through things.
Yeah. And so, but whether they read them or not, it just depends. Yeah. So like I was right before here, I was going through some emails. I think I just checked and I'm up to I got 500 or 600 emails I have to go through. And so I could probably get about 150, 200 emails a day. Yeah, and it's my goal to read through, especially if they're my constituents. I try to respond to all of them, have thoughtful, response.
Right. Yeah.
But even the ones who aren't my constituents, I still try to read through them best I can because I got to get some kind of gauge on what people in Nebraska are thinking.
And that's like 3 hours of your day.
It can be, yes. Those are the things I try to sneak in between stuff.
Right.
If you see me wandering aimlessly on my cell phone on the sidewalk, I'm usually going through emails.
Yeah, and that's why you have staff guiding you not to walk in the street.
Yep, true.
So, but you also have staff to try to help say, oh, by the way, this is going on.
Yeah.
You need to be aware of that.
Yeah, I think I have 5 staff now in Lincoln that help me kind of go through the last. I got 2 legal counsels. I got Ellie Stangl. A lot of people might know the Stangl family here.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie's been by my side, for 4 years, and so she's my legislative aide. Carson's my administrative assistant. I have a committee clerk and all that kind of stuff. And so they help me kind of sift through all of this stuff to make my time as efficient as we possibly can.
Okay. So really quick, I'm going to ask you, from the bills you've seen so far, what do you think would be the bill is most beneficial for the state of Nebraska that's going to be the easiest to get through?
Boy, the easiest to get. That's a good one, right? Those are 2 loaded questions, right?
It
there.
is. It
and
really
so beneficial, it depends what you mean by beneficial. To a lot of people, beneficial might be like the abortion bill, right?
Right.
Saving the lives of 2,000 babies a year is very beneficial for the state of Nebraska, especially when we're in a population decline and nobody's having babies.
But I'm not going to say that's an easy one to get through.
No, that is not. I think there's a tax bill I think we're all trying to put together. Mm-hmm. Senator Linehan, who's the chair of revenue, there's a bunch of kind of moving parts. We're going to try to put out a tax package, I think, to drop the income tax. Right now we're at 5.5%, I think. We're trying to drop down to like 3.9% to make it ours the same as Iowa.
Okay.
And so we're trying to catch up to what the other states around us are doing, because we did so good through COVID. Like our revenues did really well.
Right.
Hence why you have a lot of people introducing a lot of bills to put their hand in the honey pot, right?
Yeah.
They're all trying to get this money out.
Yep.
And so we, the conservatives, are trying to say we should probably make sure we give it back to the people, right, as much as we can, and lower their taxes, right? And then address the property tax credit relief fund, which we put out there, which hopefully a lot of people applied for in their taxes this year. If not, you better talk to your CPA. But lowering the overall, I think, income tax and corporate income tax will help out a lot of people too, quite a bit. So that's one of the things. I think it's one of the things we're trying to work on with the tax package. So that's going to be a big one. And
that seems like it would be something that goes beyond the people of the state, but it's also being able to attract people to come into the
Definitely,
state.
Yeah, right. And I think that's good governance, right? Don't force people to come here or incentivize people more with taxpayer money. Lower the taxes, so that's what incentivizes people to come here, right? Mm-hmm. If companies are going to come here and make more money because we have less taxes, that's why you should do it, right? And then they have jobs, and people come here and they build homes and do all that kind of stuff. And I think if you let the people, if you build it, they will come,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, how government should do it. Like if you just create a good environment, people will come and let them do the work. That's the free market approach, right? So I think that's what we're trying to accomplish this year.
All right, and then we're going to come back here again in a moment, and then I'm going to hit with the more difficult question.
Oh, great. No, I can't wait.
All right, keep listening right here on 94.7 Blair Radio and BlairRadio.com.